Hello and welcome to the Simply Shed Talk Live with your host, Andrew Boyle and
Peter Miller. It's good to have this time to get on here and be able to talk with all of you about the thing that we all love, and that's sheds. And Andrew and I have had some opportunity over the last couple of weeks to visit multiple different shed lots across the country, and excited to see you all join and add your questions in here, and definitely looking forward to helping out those in the shed industry any way we possibly can.
yes, absolutely. Now, before we get too far into our conversation, Peter, real quick, going to give you a little rundown of how this is planned or we want it to go. Is we're going to put a link down in the comments below, and all you'll do is just click on that link. It'll bring you into the studio, and we'll bring you on stage, and you can ask your question. Just stop in and say hi, where you're from. But this show is supposed to be all about you guys and asking your questions. And of course, we don't have all the answers, and we don't think we do either. But maybe you could ask a question and somebody else might have the answer or a better answer, and you're welcome to join the conversation as well. But Peter, I know we've been talking about doing this for a while, and it's our first episode is finally here. I know it's a little nerve-wracking going live. You can see we had a little technical
sweat beating up on the forehead. It's like a step of faith as you jump out there and go live with this. But hey, that's what growth is all about, and we want to make sure we're going in the right direction here. I know that one of the things that we talked to a shed lot owner this morning about was how he set up his shed lot a little bit differently. And one of the things that I noticed, we're down in Florida and we have shed lots, and it's like either green grass or just this last winter we actually got a little bit of freezing temperature for like a week, and so it actually turned brown. But you guys have snow across most of the country, and we don't have to deal with that very much. But he was talking about the frost in the ground, how it's eventually going to be melting so that the water can go down through, but everything turns to mud then. And it was really interesting because there's different aspects, and I think that's one of the things in the shed industry is, like, you sell buildings, different parts of the country, and how you sell those may be a little bit different. He was pointing out a couple of different buildings that he said, yeah, that one's sold and that one's sold. And then he was saying, well, we'll get those delivered soon. In Florida, it's like, we usually are like, we want it delivered same day or next day if possible. And it's just really interesting to see the differences in the different shed communities and in different ways of people selling sheds and such, and how they have to deal with that. I know.
Yeah, and sorry to cut you off, Peter, real quick. This is our first one, so a little technical difficulties. Somebody texted me and said they're trying to get on, but they can't click my link. So going to update that here and get that link put on there. But anyways, yeah, we're up here in Indiana right now. And I've always thought, was questionable about global warming, but I think it might be real. We were in New York just a couple of weeks ago at a different company up there, and there was snow everywhere. I mean, I even fell in the snow, and Peter was laughing at me. But here, I don't know, Peter. It's just like I just see cornfields. There's no snow up here. Short sleeves, and not only that, but people come down to Florida because snowbirds. But I'm not seeing any snow up here.
Yeah, they didn't get the memo, but I heard it's supposed to come back in March up here, so we'll see. And what I was thinking about was the different shed haulers, shed sellers. I've had the unique ability to be able to not only sell the building, but also be out on some of the deliveries. And one of the things that I've seen is when you deliver a building to the customer, in the same, as quickly as possible. That last point of contact is usually that shed hauler who's doing that, that final touch. But I want to take a moment and say, hey, what if we as the selling team took a little extra effort and reach back out to that client after the building's delivered and make sure we're doing that customer review process. Make sure that everything went smoothly. Make sure that they got the building exactly where they want it placed and all that. And that's one of the things that I would say can set you apart a little bit from what others may do. A lot of people take hey, I just want to get it sold and I'm done with it and move on to the next one. Slow down, take a little extra time and make sure you make that customer experience that much better. And then you have a customer for a life. I know with portable buildings, I've sold multiple buildings to the same customer. And that's the one thing I will say is some customers are going to buy 1 or 2 sheds in their lifetime. And then there's some that are going to, I think they buy like 20 sheds in their lifetime. If they're, it's crazy. There was this guy named Larry, and this was in Arcadia. And when you went to his house, he just had them lined up on either side of his driveway. And that's where he had all these, all this stuff that he collected. He collected like antiques and things like that. And he would come in and say, hey, Peter, you got any deals for me? And we would go out and look at the different buildings, and we'd get him a building that would work for him. And sure enough, we'd go take it out there. We had to trim back some of his trees at times, but definitely taking that extra time to make sure that your process is complete. Not just as the hauler, which the hauler is a great last touch, but as the seller, make sure you're also reaching back out to them and make sure that everything is taken care of.
I know, Peter, I remember when you moved to Georgia to open up the other shed lot. I remember it was like I would go to the shed lot there in Arcadia, and it would be like, where's this building going for? Oh, Peter sold that one. I'm like, what do you mean Peter sold that? Peter lives in Georgia. But I remember it was, I don't know how many, but I would think at least once a month, a steel building or something was going out with your name on it. And I think, that goes back to just being that, person in the community and, sharing. I know you always gave out your personal cell phone number, and a lot of people don't like to do that. And it's kind of a, controversial subject of asking, our employees like to give out their number, and it doesn't always go over great. But this is a perfect example of your customer today that texts you and wants to buy in a building, from however long ago that was.
Yeah, that was back.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, that was back in 2020. That was when I first moved to Georgia. I had a guy come in and he was looking for a building. We were able to get him a building, and he just recently texted me again. He's like, hey, I need a 40 by 60 building. And so, 6 years later, he's now going to buy another building twice the size of what he bought before. And I guess that was one of the things that you can set yourself apart as a salesperson is by always making yourself unforgettable. Make sure you have the ability to maybe just whenever they think of a shed or whenever they think of a steel building, they think of you. Whenever they think of anything, maybe you sell gazebos, maybe you sell dog kennels or chicken coops. They're not thinking of Amazon or they're not thinking of Home Depot or Lowe's. They're thinking of you. So there's one way I guess you can look at it 2 ways. There's one, you're trying to get people in off the road or in off online, which I know we'll talk about that in the future. But then once they're in, you want to make sure that they're even more engaged with you.
Yeah, that's the importance. I think we were talking about that last time we had our little thing is putting your face out there, whether that's in video format. And I know Peter, you do good at that. And I know Peter Boyle out there was doing the same thing, having the videos, and it might take a 1 take or 32 takes. The thing wrong, a bunch of times. but that's okay. But whether that, it doesn't have to be a video form or anything like that, but just getting your face out there in your community, whether that's on a poster, on a billboard, on your website, on a flyer, but just your face on that stage, wherever it might be, but just getting that out for people to see.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things. I was talking to one of our sales ladies today, and actually her episode, if you don't watch the Shed Geek podcast, they have great content that comes out. But Jerry Hayes was on this latest episode, and she was talking about it, and she called me and she was saying, I looked all right in it. And I said, I think that's one of the things, we're our own worst critic. And you look at things and you want it to look a certain way. And most of the time people are like, well, I didn't even notice that, because they're not looking at the details like you are, and you're your own worst critic. You want to get your face known. You want to make sure you present clarity when you're telling somebody what you're providing services for. And you want to make sure that that's done in the most efficient manner and stay relevant.
Yeah, I know it's always nerve-wracking at first. I know we had talked about this for a while, about going live and just doing this. And I know for some of us, not going to mention any names, but the person on the other side of here was pretty nervous about it, and rightfully so, because obviously live, there's no scripts, there's nothing. It's just live and going, and messing up. And that's the fun of it. That's the exciting part. And it's the same way when you do your first video at your shed lot, or your first post on a marketplace with you in the picture. It is nerve-wracking. You're going to look at it 50 times. And I know when we first started doing that, Peter, I remember when you did your first video, you were like watching it back, listening to your voice, and like, Peter, it's great. And you're like, no, it's not. Like, I said the wrong word, and I said, and whatever it was, but it's like, Peter, I think the video's great. Like, I really do. And now it's kind of, he's kind of, mastered it. And, but it just takes the, the practice and the bravery to do it for the first time. But I think we have our first person here joining the stage. Let's see, we're in 1 second real quick.
Oh my gosh. Hi, guys. I'm so sorry.
Hi.
I didn't know that this was to join the call. Hi, I'm Anna from Florida's Finest Sheds.
Okay.
Hi, Anna.
Well, you're on now.
Hi. Hello. I was just listening in. I thought this is where we were supposed to watch. So hope everyone's having a great day.
Well, yeah. Well, everybody's watching you now on the screen there. So, but we should get you like a trophy or something, being the very first person to click the link and join in.
I'll take it. We love trophies here, so.
Okay.
But no, I agree with everything you were just saying. Me and Cal had the same experience doing the videos, and you just have to post it. You just have to let them post it. You just have to let them ride, and they're not as bad as we see them, because we see ourselves with all of our defects.
Listen, I've seen your videos, and your videos are great. I know you probably look at them and critique them and probably like, oh, shoot it again, do it again. But your videos are great. I don't know if you told everybody your name, where you're from, and what sheds you sell.
Yeah, I am from Eagle Lake, here with Florida's Finest Sheds. We sell for Eternity and Nelson's Buildings out of Gainesville, and we do carports as well.
All righty. Well, thank you so much for being our first call, even if it was just an accident. We appreciate you. I will take you off here, and
you're welcome.
Watch it. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All righty. There you go, folks. That's how easy it is. Pressed it by mistake. But join the call, click the link below. I believe the link is there now. You can click it, and it's that easy to join the conversation, ask a question, give us some feedback, whatever it might be. But I'm glad you clicked that link accidentally. But yeah, so go back to our we were talking about, Peter, is just getting the courage to do it. Once you do it, I don't know, 5 or 10 times, it'll become natural. And what we've seen with our salespeople, and Peter, your salespeople the same way, is it was so hard to get them to do it the first time. But now what happens, maybe you could tell some success stories from your lots, Peter, maybe somebody that came in and mentioned them or something. I see that your shed lots are now doing a lot more videos, and they're in them, and they're, seems like they're doing well.
Yeah. So we started doing a more video heavy advertising online. And ever since we've done that, we just have seen a major increase in leads and people coming in doing just that. Hey, I saw you online and I wanted to make sure, I bought I want to buy a shed. And it was basically they seen our face at that location and were able to come in and purchase that. And, this is one of the things that with my business partner, Peter Boyle, he would turn the camera around in selfie mode and he would sound just like this. Hey, this is Peter and then the shed lot. And that's what he started every single one of those videos. So that way everybody associated him with that video. And people would be like, hey, you're the guy from the video. Exactly. That's what you want. That's what you want people to look at and see. Because they're going to trust you if they see you long enough. And I know you were talking about this before, and maybe it was off air, but if somebody sees somebody long enough and listens to them, they have a certain amount of trust that's built up over that time period. So you want to become relevant with them before they even step foot on your shed lot, if possible. And that's going on the online side. But once they come into that shed lot, you want to be just as welcoming, just as friendly. You don't want to be two different people. If you're outgoing on the video, make sure you're outgoing in person. But just one of the things is get your face out there, be very visible to those around you.
Yeah, it's kind of like, before I met Shannon and I was new to the industry, Shannon, the Shed Geek, was like who I listened to. And when I met him, I felt like he knew me because, I knew him and I heard him, but we had never met before. And so when I think of the shed industry, I think of, Shannon Latham and the Shed Geek podcast and all the stuff that he does. But it's the same thing on there. But, there's a lot of benefits to that. And it's not saying you have to do, a Facebook video. It's not one size fits all. It's Facebook, Instagram, a newspaper ad, but just something showing yourself with it. But there's a lot of features and benefits to doing something like that. But real quick, I think the link is up on all the pages now. We had a little technical difficulty there. Somebody else texted me, but it should be up on all of them. Click the link. We're gonna be doing these shows preferably once a week. I know it goes back to the live thing. Peter, I remember we had talked about going live for the advertisement, and you were like, we're like, hey, we don't know when we're going to do it. If we're going to do it every week, once every 2 weeks, it depends on, what we get, if people get value out of asking questions and joining the community. I remember we're like, we're going to go live, 3, 2, 1 live. And then you're like, I'm Peter Miller, and we're going to be on here every Wednesday afternoon. And I was like, Peter, we just talked about this. So we don't know the schedule yet. We're gonna play it by ear. We'll put something out there, but really it's just about bringing the community together. The shed industry is a unique industry, and we want people just to have a spot to voice their questions when you have them and get them, answered by the audience or myself or Peter. We'll bring other people on here as well, but it's really just about bringing the community, closer together on a platform where everybody can kind of just, get to know each other, eventually, get on here, show your face, ask your question. It's kind of like we just talked about. Eventually it'll become, natural and normal to do it. And that's what we hope. We hope to bring value to the shed industry.
And I think that's one of the things that you just said there was I just call it networking. There's events like the Shed Builder Expo, the Garage Shed Carport Builder event. There's I think it's coming up here very soon, the Pole Barn. I forget what the acronym is there, but the Pole Barn Show. There's a whole bunch of different things for networking where you have to drive to it or fly to it. But this is something that you can network potentially every week, maybe even more. and we want to build that community even stronger. And because think about it, with networking, you're able to do so much more in your community. As you grow your business, as you grow your shed business, the more people you know, the more you're able to start to make a difference in what you're doing. So if you're a manufacturer, if you're networking, maybe you're trying to find somebody to provide ramps. Well, we know somebody that we use for ramps. And if you didn't have somebody for ramps, now we can suggest somebody to provide ramps. If you're looking for somebody for paint, maybe we can offer a solution, at least a suggestion. And that's one of the things in community, you can talk amongst each other. It's kind of like a live version of, what is that? I can't even think of it, but it's like reviews online. I can't even think of it. Cheryl's, see, this is what live is all about. You get stage fright. But anyways, it's just a way to be live and give those reviews as we're talking about it.
Real quick, I want to go for our weekly spotlight, and that is Shed Suite. Shed Suite has their UserCon conference this Friday. Am I right, Peter? Friday?
Yes.
For their UserCon, if you need any questions about that, please reach out to Jason or the Shed Suite team. I don't know if you're still able to register or not, but myself and Peter Miller will both be there. So hopefully you guys will be there. Stop by, say hi. It is in sunny Southwest Florida in Sarasota. We personally use Shed Suite. We really enjoy their system and the ease of use there. But if you guys are in town, stop by, say hi to us at the conference. But Shed Suite, if you haven't seen them or heard of them, go check them out. Shed Suite, look up their demo. But they're a great company to work with.
So one of the things I was wanting to dive into a little bit, and we had talked about this earlier, was how do you set yourself apart from your competition as you're trying to get people in off the road? And, I've heard the comments, signage, you need banners, or you need, all these different things. But what are some ways that you would think are a good way to get somebody in off the street? Is it just signage? Is it just banners? Or what would you say?
Well, I think number one, you just got to be there. We go down to a lot of shed lots, and we've been to several that have the sign on the door, be back later, out to lunch. And for the one is you just got to be there. I mean, that's the 101. But, in the furniture business, we saw a lot of success with sign flippers, believe it or not. Sign flippers drawing a lot of traffic. If you're like me and have a lot of kids, and it's like, free labor, have them out there holding the sign, flipping the sign. But I think it really comes down to a couple things. Of course, one is being there. That's the obvious, right? But two is the presentation of your lot. Is people are going to drive by, and your lot has to look nice, and want somebody to pull in. And I go by a lot of lots, and they're not displayed right. They're dirty. The grass is overgrown, and as being there every day, we get used to it, and because we're there every day. But when someone like myself, or when I'm with Peter and we drive by a lot, that's one of the things we notice. Who's like, wow, either we're like, wow, that's super nice, or that's not very nice. And I think customers, obviously, that's their first impression. So, are you gonna, Peter, when you're traveling with your kids and your kid has to go to the bathroom, are you gonna pull into the Sitco that has looks like you probably know what's inside, or are you gonna go to the Wawa or the brand new racetrack?
Yeah, definitely the Wawa or racetrack.
Now, you're not going there to buy anything, are you? Going there to go to the bathroom. But I was at the gas station with Peter today. Peter got a Snapple apple juice, a water. What else did you get?
A Sprite.
a Sprite, and he got like it's $16. I'm like, what in the world? But we didn't stop there necessarily to buy anything. But the result, because it was a nice place, the result was we bought Peter bought $16 worth of snacks. But it's the same thing with any retail. They might be coming there because it's just cool to check out, or you have a cool. How many of you know, Peter? I think it was your Arcadia lot. You put that huge barn out, like the steel building, and how many people stopped to look at it versus how many people bought it?
Well, there's a lot of people who stopped that didn't buy, but
right.
One of the things that we did on that barn, now that you mention it, is we put lights up around the barn, and then we set up speakers for Christmas time. And so the music played with the lights as the lights would flash. It was kind of intricate, and we had a guy who works for us there, and he was able to work with my business partner Peter Boyle. That's his lot there, and he was able to turn that on, and people would see it. It would be kind of like one of those things you could see from the road. It was to draw people in, to be able to see this really cool barn, but also it lit up and lights flashed with music playing and things like that. It was one of those things, just trying to set ourselves apart that much more. Like, what can you do? And that's, I think, driving back into it is like, what are you going to do? Go into your shed lot every day. And maybe not every day, maybe once a week at least. And just take a certain amount of time and be like, what am I going to do to set aside my shed lot from my competition? And I don't think you focus necessarily on the competition. You focus on yourself. Like, how can I better my shed lot? Not what are they doing and I'm just going to do it better. No, don't look at it that way. Look at what you can do yourself. That's just what I would suggest to anybody. Anybody have any suggestions? Feel free to jump on. I know we've been on here for a little bit and would love to have some more input.
Yeah, the number one thing that people say when you ask them, what sets you apart, the thing that they say is customer service. Our customer service is better. Our customer service is better. Well, it might be, and it should be, but that's what that's what your competitor down the road says. So it's got to be something that's appealing to the consumer, and that is changing your lot up, move your sheds around, I know it's hard to move steel buildings around, but I've seen Peter do it before. Like 2 trucks and a lawnmower and whatever else they can get to pull them at the same time. I probably shouldn't be saying that if there's any like reps for your buildings on here, but I mean, they're perfectly fine. Nothing ever happened to them.
Not at all.
But it just changes the look. And that's what you're trying to appeal to that customer is something new, something thing. And I know, Peter, didn't you, I don't know how long ago, but you added like chicken coops, stuff like that. How does that bring customers in to like, even though they don't buy it, does it still bring them in?
Yes. Because people see that and they're like, it creates another way of getting somebody in. And maybe when they stop to look at the chicken coop, then they see the little, greenhouse or the small shed or something like that. So it's just more ways of getting people in. And you want to display them in a way so that they can see them from the road. You want to see what the offerings are, but also, how can I say, have a little bit of mysteria for it. So when they drive in, they don't see everything from the road. They have to drive in and kind of look and see more. So make sure you put the stuff out there to display, but then more offerings in the back or something like that. So that way you have a potential to go and get them instead of them just driving on by and not actually stopping.
Yeah, the other thing that I've seen is playgrounds. And I don't know if you have any, if you looked at it or not, Peter, but if there's any playground reps in Southwest Florida, message us, email us. I was telling Peter about that today. We went to a lot and they had swing sets and stuff. It just looks so nice. Even though I'm probably not going to buy a swing set, it just makes the lot when you drive by like, man, I want to go there and look at it. They obviously have something going on. So I don't think the chicken coops or dog kennels or stuff like that necessarily you're going to sell a crazy amount of them. But I think it just, it's the destination. It's kind of like when you go to a store, you're going to go to Dollar General or Walmart. Dollar General probably has it, but you're going to go to Walmart because it has more selection. It's bigger, and then you're going to end up spending up more money anyways. So I think customers like the ability to have the different products and the different offerings and stuff like that. I think in the long run it it boosts everything.
Yeah, no, that's 100% true. The offerings that we've increased to include chicken coops, gazebos, dog kennels, it's just increased it that much more. And we have a great metal building in Smithville, which shout out to them. They've done phenomenal for us. We carry their buildings in Florida, and then we carry Robin up in Georgia, and then we also carry Eternity buildings. All those guys have a wonderful building, but they have their own uniqueness, in how they do that. We also carry Suncrest sheds out of LaBelle there too, and they have all different offerings, and that's one of the things as a salesperson, I want to be able to sell to anybody. And so I look at it that way, in the fact of, if they want a vinyl sided shed, I got you covered. If they want a metal sided shed, I got you covered. If they want a wood sided shed, I got you covered. Or they want concrete board or stucco siding, I can do that too. Or maybe they're just looking for a dog house or a chicken coop, we can do that. So it's going to be more like a one-stop shop for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we are going on 30 minutes here, and I know it's our first time. We did not give a warning of what time we were going to do it or anything like that. And I think we still have some technical difficulties getting the link out in all of our pages. But if you'll follow the Shed Sales Summit Facebook page, the Simply Shed Talk Facebook group, if you'll join those, turn your notifications on, you'll get notified when we go live next week. We'll put a date out here in just a couple of days, a date and a time to go live. I know we had scheduled this one. Peter wasn't feeling good. And then also when we did it, I don't know, a month ago, we talked about this. We kind of got our dates messed up. We actually weren't planning. We were in Indiana right now for doing a dealer days for classic structures. And so just we kind of have to make it work. We'll put a schedule out. And so you can email them to Andrew@makingsalessimple.com or Peter@makingsalessimple.com. You can email your questions in advance if you don't want to necessarily go live on here. But this is all about you guys and figuring out how we can connect people together, how we can get information out there, how to answer sales tips, anything like that. We want to just to bring everybody together on a platform. Anybody's welcome to join if you are a salesperson, a manufacturer, a wholesaler, someone that supplies to the industry. You're welcome to join on here. Just tell us where you're from, what you do, the solution to a problem, a product. Anybody's welcome to join the stage. But we will put that out here in those Facebook groups for our next ones. You guys can be ready. We'll give you a heads up in advance of what time it is going to be. We were trying to kind of just doing this one to get the kinks worked out. We still have a few things to work out. It's hard when you're going live. I'm over here on my phone trying to send the links out while I'm trying to, talk to Peter at the same time. But anyways, that's all we have for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for, your messages, your private messages, your emails that we've gotten of encouragement. We appreciate that. We will put a thing out soon and let you guys know when our next one is. But thank you guys so much for joining.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you guys next week.